everybody. My name is Art Whitman, Chairman of the Select Board of Town of Shaftsbury. I'd like to call this meeting to order on Monday, October 4th, 2021. First order of business, is there any conflict of interest with anything shown on the agenda?
No.
No.
And I guess I should say that we are changing the agenda slightly in that there will be an executive session for personnel reasons at the end. Okay, any objections?
No.
We have minutes to approve. September 2nd, Joe was here, Tony and Ken and myself, so entertain a motion to accept the minutes of September 2nd.
So moved.
Second. Oh, God. Sorry.
Motion by Ken, seconded by Joe. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. So carried. And we have September 20th. I was here, Ken was here, Joe was here, and Tony was here, okay?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ken,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as printed, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Okay, we have some warrants. First one is payroll warrant number 7 for $24,227.95.
So
So moved by Tony.
Second.
Second by Ken. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Wow. Still holding together.
We refuse to replace that folder.
Yeah.
It's our good luck folder.
Okay, I have warrant number 10 for a total of $139,473.03.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ken,
Second.
second by Tony. Items over $1,000. A&K Agri Services for $1,300, that's hauling gravel. Bennington County Sheriff's $2,600. Business Card Services $1,200. Howard Fairfield Incorporated, $6,800.
It's the rental on the tractor, the mower.
Oh, okay, yep. Innovative Surface Solutions, that's probably chloride,
Chloride. Yeah.
$4,200. Just says Pete's. That's probably Pete's Tire.
Pete's Tires, yeah.
$1,000. Sullivan and Powers, $10,077.
That's for this year's audit.
Is that the final bill?
There'll be one much smaller one after they finish writing it up, but they were here for 3 days.
Okay. US Bank for $65,000, is that a payment?
That's the garage
Garage payment?
bond.
Weaver Excavating, $38,718, is that Myers Road?
No, that's
Or
the
West
the
Mountain?
West Mountain
West
Road
Mountain.
project, and most of that will be reimbursed with the grant.
Okay. And that's it?
Dave, how did that, or that other water or dust control work? Have you tried?
It worked well, or maybe we should bring that up on the DPW. That would be a better place to discuss
Okay,
that.
all right.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried 400. Very careful.
Jeez.
We're saving money on that one.
When Joan retires, it retires. That's the way it goes.
Really timed it.
Do we have any announcements, Dave?
I have no announcements.
Looking for,
We're not looking for anybody at the moment.
other than zoning board and
Oh, the zoning and, well, yeah.
planning commission and the DVR has
Yeah.
openings if anybody wants to serve. Okay,
Good.
public comments? Looks like nobody's on Zoom.
Nobody's on Zoom.
Okay. We have some guests for a presentation by BCRC.
Yes, that's us.
Well, I don't know your names, but come up and introduce yourself.
Sure. I see that there's a microphone. Do we have to?
Please.
speak
Yes.
at that? Okay.
Yes, please.
Are you both together?
Yes, we're
Well,
both
you
together.
can bring a second chair up if you'd like.
Yeah. So I'm Kat Byers, Director of Planning at BCRC. And Callie, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Callie Fishburne, and I am a regional planner at BCRC.
We're very happy to have Callie. She was our AmeriCorps and just recently became our newest regional planner, so we're lucky to have her. So we're here to talk about mailing that you guys should have received last week, this proposal for a bylaw modernization grant. And if you guys will recall, BCRC, I think 2 MPG municipal planning grant cycles ago, we got funding to do a bylaw survey for the whole region, all 17 municipalities in our region. And we did a rundown of the opportunities in each bylaw to make improvements to allow for some more desired housing infill. And we, as part of that, came up with kind of a nice checklist of just our ideas. You know, we did share them with the towns and sought any comment. It wasn't anything to approve or disapprove of. It's just our analysis at the BCRC. So that project was completed, and that set us up really well. We were a little bit strategic about it, knowing that there was going to be some funding for updating bylaws coming from the state, particularly around housing. So we were a little bit thinking ahead, and we knew that doing that region-wide analysis was going to set us up really well. So now we're at the stage that there is special funding coming from the state, kind of aligned with the MPG program, although a little bit separate. MPGs are due November 1st. This program that we're talking about is kind of a subset. It's due November 15th. So what we did, what we have as a proposal is that BCRC would like to do another consortium application, so not 1 or 2 towns, but really having looked at all 17 of our towns, we identified the top 10 that we would most like to work with. There's some pretty straightforward, easy things that we think we could recommend to you guys. And then you could, choose to adopt them or a selection of them or whatever it is. And Shaftsbury was one of the 10 that we said, we feel like it's a pretty straightforward thing to work through some points with you guys. So like I said, we'd emailed this out, and I think you physically mailed it out to everybody. So there's a resolution form and kind of a description of what we're proposing. So this meeting is us coming to you to say if you do in fact want to participate in this program, it's going to be over 2 years. So as I said, there's 10 towns that we're inviting to do this consortium application that we would administer. Shaftesbury would be not worked on in the first year, but in the second year of the grant, so fiscal year 23. This is fiscal year 22, right? Oh gosh. Fiscal year 23. So we'll do 5 towns in the first year, 5 towns in the second. And that's my quick overview. I could tell you guys a little bit of the specifics of what we saw, particularly in Shaftsbury, that we would like to explore working on. Would that be helpful to hear?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Yes, super briefly, the first one that we're seeing in all towns is standards for ADUs. So ADUs being accessory dwelling units, also known as accessory apartments. So those are allowed throughout the state by Vermont statute. If you own a single-family home, you are by right allowed to, say, add a in-law suite or an extra apartment to your home. And that's been the case for a while. And at the end of 2020, though, the state updated and kind of preempted local bylaws with a few more details, saying, how big could those ADU spaces be and how would they be regulated or not regulated. So there's a few more details around reviewing and permitting ADUs that the state regulations preempt local regulations. And so to the extent that what you guys have on the books isn't consistent with that, it makes sense to go ahead and make it consistent, because you don't want to not approve something that somebody wants to do and then they find out that it was technically allowed, and it just gets messy. So that's a really easy one to take care of for you guys. Make sure that you're at least in compliant with what's in statute, and then if you wanted to, say, be even more lenient or allow more liberty, you guys could do that. So ADUs is a big easy one. We also saw opportunity to eliminate some of the regulatory barriers for mixed use in the middle of town. Like, for example, mixed use right in the town center, currently conditional use review is required. And so our proposal for that would be, if it's a mixed residential and commercial use and both of those uses are individually permitted by right, is there a real reason why combining them in a single building needs conditional use review? It might be that site plan review or something else that's not quite as, conditional uses review is considered by developers to be something that's a little bit unpredictable, and the more that you can introduce predictability into the permitting process, the more confidence that people have to propose development. And that's, what we want to help people do, is propose the type of development that we want to see. There's some more details around potentially allowing a little bit more density and reducing some of the dimensional standards. We did an additional project just this past summer. We had an intern from UVM, a GIS student, who looked at the town center, I think in both Shaftsbury Center and South Shaftsbury, and looked at is the existing development on the ground, is that consistent with what you guys are regulating for? So say you have a house that exists in the center of Shaftsbury. If there were a disaster, a fire, and that building was, eliminated, would the current zoning standard allow that house to be rebuilt as is? And so I actually think we should share it with you. I don't know if we've emailed that out yet, but it's pretty surprising, and this is pretty consistent across towns. You'll find inconsistencies of like 80%. Like 80% of existing development that people tend to like that's in a village, there's a reason why, there's that village feel and it's walkable and it feels neighborhood-like, that you actually find that what you're regulating for is much lower density that wouldn't be allowed. So that provides some nice insights into not, scrapping what you guys have, but is there a reason that we have the side setback in these lots being twice as large as what we actually see on the ground? Is there an opportunity there to make it more consistent with existing and historic development? So that's a nice tool that we'll have in the toolbox to look at your existing standards and see if there's opportunities there. So that's kind of a really quick run through. So we consider working with you guys. You did do a bunch of updates, I think particularly focused on the Village Center District in 2016, 2017.
Yes.
So you guys are very strong in that district in particular, but we do see some of these other opportunities in that district, but also in like village residential. So that's where we would be focusing with this project for Shaftsbury.
Okay, so help me understand, what you do is you look at what we have and that sort of stuff, and then you would go before our planning board?
Yep.
Okay, and you'd say this is what we think might be beneficial for you.
Correct.
Then the planning board, does it have to adopt them, or is it just they could say, we're happy with what we've got, is that?
Yep, you guys would have total decision if you want to adopt it or not, and we
Because-
would,
Because the planning board eventually, if they make changes, that's got to go before the whole town to be voted on, is that not right?
gosh, it does vary by town. I can't remember for you guys. Is that the
It has
case in
to be voted
Shaftsbury?
on by the
Yes.
town.
it has to be-
Okay, okay,
Yes.
yep,
That was one of the things we voted for.
yes.
Is we would have
Yes.
control over that, okay?
Yep.
And what does this cost?
Gosh, and this is where I'm remiss because I meant to grab the sheet that has that detail and I left it at the office. I don't know if you guys happen to have it.
It's 6,000 for us, so if the grant is 6,000, we do have 10% of it.
Okay,
So that means you guys would pay 600. The detail with this program is that if you guys end up adopting a version of what we recommend to you, that's actually waived and the project would be free to you guys. Or if we did the work and you guys didn't want any of it, then you would just be in $600.
Okay. Did I understand that Chris Williams kind of gave his blessing upon this, is that right?
Yes, I
Or-
sent this to the planning commission last week, and they already signed it.
I don't want to
approved it.
ram anything down his throat if he doesn't think that,
No, I already have his signed resolution here,
okay?
Oh, nice, that's wonderful.
so they're ready to go.
Okay,
Great.
Ken, any questions or anything?
No.
Tony?
No.
No?
Kind of a win-win, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained. We're not gonna know. These people are the experts, right? Have them come in. It's good to have a, you know, a
That is
nice,
kind
fresh
of,
set of eyes.
Outside perspective, yeah, sure.
It really is.
it is kind of interesting, a lot of zoning, I think zoning had to grandfather a lot of things in, and you're right, so why all of a sudden are we, if a house burns down, why can't we rebuild it the way it was, so, interesting.
Let's exercise our options.
Yeah, okay. So what do you need from us?
So what we need from you guys is signing the resolution to say that you would like to participate and be one of our 10 towns. And then actually I have an extra ask of you guys, which is, I mentioned that BCRC, we administer the grant, so we've come up with a proposal and we're going out and getting the resolution, we're gonna write the grant, we're gonna, do all the work for it, except since this is run like the municipal planning grant program, it has to flow through a town. And we wanted to know if you guys could basically be the fiscal agent for the grant. BCRC, since we're not one of the municipalities, we can't receive the funds. We can do all of the administration and submitting reports and, requisitioning funds, but the funds themselves would have to land with a town. We're asking if it can be you guys, and then you guys would pay us, if that's okay.
Handling fee would be appropriate?
I think they're about 10%.
Yeah.
Our town would be the contact for all 10 towns?
No, we would handle all of that. Really, we just need a place for the funds to land and get
But
distributed.
the funds would
from.
land here for all 10 towns?
Yes, and they would go to us.
You can't
We're
just
the
get a
only,
post
we're the
office
only group
box.
that's getting
Yeah.
funded through this.
Is
Yeah.
it just pass-through, or is there?
Yeah, well,
would be a
the
pass-through.
pass-through for Parent Acres wasn't a real pleasure either, I gotta tell you, so.
Really?
Yeah, all
I
right,
thought that-
yeah.
We were dealing with the federal government there, though, weren't we, or?
Well, no, we only dealt with the people of the state, they deal with the federal government.
Okay.
No,
If you
it's
guys
up to
were
you.
curious, so we just did this, actually when we did the region-wide bylaw survey that kind of, set us up nicely for this opportunity, Dorset was the town that did the same thing. We administered all the grant, but again, a municipality has to be the receiving group. And we just closed that out with them earlier this spring. And I was on a couple of phone calls with them, just making sure that they had the list, like they had to submit a ledger showing that they actually paid checks to us and the checks were cashed. That's the kind of paperwork that they're interested in. And so I was gonna say, you could talk to Rob up in Dorset and get an idea for what it consists of.
Well, I'll talk to Rob, because that would involve me and the treasurer
No.
sitting behind you. That all the money would have to pass through her. And
Yeah.
so let us
If you guys
request
wanna
that we
think on that,
be
yeah.
allowed to talk to
What's that?
Rob
Yes.
about this before we commit to being the pass-through town.
Can we,
Right.
does this document say that we're gonna be the pass-through town?
It does not.
Can we sign this
Yeah.
that we'd like to do it.
Sure.
And then you and.
And then
Dave-
we can figure out, because if it's not you guys, we can ask another town. But we felt like you guys had, relative to a lot of the other towns, some more administrative capacity.
Well, we got Melanie.
If we could do everything.
Yes.
That's what we hear. We hear that Shaftsbury is just on top of it.
Okay.
You just need a motion.
Motion.
Yeah.
So, is there?
A motion?
Yeah, let's have a motion, then we can ask for discussion. So let's have a motion, make it right. okay?
So have a motion to accept the Bennington County Regional Commission request.
That they do a study
Oh, right,
that
right,
costs $10,000 or $6,000. We could end up paying 600 of it,
right.
okay?
Second.
So are we gonna end up paying 6,000 in any way?
No,
Okay, I
That's
didn't,
what
I
comes
didn't
from
think
the
we were,
state,
but I just
right.
wanted to ask again.
Yes,
Or
good to
ask.
confirm.
So we have a motion and a second.
Yes,
Any other discussion?
no.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. So do you.
you signed it as chair.
Yeah, you sign it as the chair, and I'll get you guys a copy of it.
Wonderful.
Name of legislative body chair, that must be here, okay?
Yeah,
And
just
then
sign
do
here.
you want to,
Right.
when you've had a chance to chat with Rob,
Melanie.
and then if you want to give me a
Rob.
call at the office
Yeah.
or send me an email or something,
Yeah.
and just let me know what you guys
Okay.
decide, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
And I'll
Copy
email
it.
you a copy of this in the
That's
morning.
perfect, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks you guys so much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, Kelly, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. It's Kat and Kelly, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Kat and Kelly. Take care now.
So Melanie, if your head isn't too swollen up, you can come up after all that praise.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Get a boost for the ego.
It did not turn my head, I promise.
You were there playing it. I'm just kidding.
So I think you should look at the
Yes.
cash flow you got in front of you.
Yep.
I just want to talk about this real quick, and then I want to talk about taxes. It'll just take a minute. You can see from looking at this that far and away the most important thing is taxes, of course. We've taken in about 800, actually as of today, more like $900,000. And the other big number there is transfer station. That's $10,406, almost all of it in $1 bills. It is,
Wow.
yeah. Every time I go to the bank, I think, that's it, I've got every single dollar bill in the tri-state area, but then the next time, there's just as many again, I don't know.
Do you need a money counter?
Yeah, her name is Joan.
Yeah.
There's nothing else particular going on. I mean, nothing other than taxes, which is enough to keep me busy. You can take a look at the reserve, oops, I'm sorry.
What percent of the taxes do you think are paid?
Well, you know, I have it on the spreadsheet that it's 12% of, but that doesn't, I need to adjust that because it's much more than that, because that doesn't include all the state payments, which is a great, large percentage of it. So when I talk about the 6 million, that's not really the number we need to collect. So what I thought I would do is start comparing it to last year, because last year was a good year, and we got them out slightly earlier this year, so they won't be complete apples to apples. But I think it looks pretty normal so far.
Okay, that's,
It's not really projectable yet, partly because the escrow payments come in very late and they're huge.
yep.
Take a quick look at the reserve accounts. We already talked about the ARPA funding. That's obviously the very big number there at the bottom, 333,000. That's sort of dwarfing everything else at this point. We also got, that was a Class 3 road grant that we got,
That was the
right?
last payment for the bridge up in the hollow, the
Right.
56,000.
Phew.
Right, and then the only other activity was a little bit of water money that came in. So unless you have questions about any of that, I wanted to talk about, every day I'm getting a stack, not every day, because we don't get the mail every day. Every day that I get mail, I get a stack maybe like that, of undeliverables. And I want to make sure that people are reminded that if they have not yet received their bill, they really need to come to me for it. It's not a get-out-of-jail-free card if you do not ever receive the tax bill. There's a bunch of them not getting to people, and we
Well-
all know what the problems are this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I got the US mail showing up at my mailbox at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
So,
if
you
at
know,
all.
And then there was one week where we didn't get mail for,
Yeah, a
and
week.
it all came in one day. Like
Yes.
at the end of the week, I was like,
Yeah, and I'm very worried
Yeah.
if people are mailing in their checks to me. Just make sure you get it stamped with the date, because I know that I'm going to be getting a lot of late payments. And
Postmark.
I accept postmark. A lot of towns don't, and I think that they're going to regret it this year, because things are taking 2-3 weeks to get.
And
for
the
their
date
money.
again?
It is November 10th.
November 10th.
Which is a Wednesday
Which
this
is
year.
a Wednesday, we gotta tell everybody that.
But I urge people, if that is at all possible, to use the online payment option more this year than ever before. If you're trying to mail it to me and then get me to mail back the receipt, the likelihood of something getting lost is doubled. If you pay online, it's $1.50, which is practically postage, and you get an instant receipt, and you can literally take that to the bank. So if you can, pay online.
didn't you set up a thing for people to make payments before about a year ago?
The online payments?
Yeah, what was that called?
Yeah, Municipay.
Municipal.
Yes, so you can use
So that can
either-
still be under that, right?
Yes,
Or- yeah.
indeed, yes. So it's either you can use a credit card, which is a percentage, kind of, you might get a little sticker shock, because I think it's 2.65%. Which, if your bill is significant, then the
Yeah.
fee is significant.
Yeah.
But there is the option of the e-check option. It is $1.50 flat, no matter
it.
how much you pay. You just need to have a check, and you look up your routing number on
Oh,
there.
I see.
Yeah, it's basically just a bank transfer,
Yeah.
but they make it very easy for you.
And it's called,
It's on our website. You go to shaftsbury.gov, and you'll see pay fees, bills. Click on it, and it's very user-friendly.
okay, cool.
So really, I tell everybody, pay that way if you possibly can. It's not easier for me, actually, but it is a lot more secure if we don't have to count on the USPS this year. I think that's all I had to say. Any other questions about any of that?
Should they make their payments in dollar bills?
And
Please don't make your payments in dollar bills. Please don't.
Show up with
I've got-
wheelbarrows.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of cash payments this year. I didn't have any last year because it was hard to get in the building, but for your own sake, just don't pay cash. It's just too scary.
But the building is open.
Yes, the building is open. I actually, my stamp of power, my paid stamp, exploded in my hand because of overuse. But I got a new one today, and it's nice. It works fine. So that's all I have to say.
Any questions?
Anything else?
Thank you. Maureen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Happy stamping.
Okay. Next on the agenda is was the town clerk? Is she waiting to come up, or?
I kind of thought she would be up here. I didn't think about that. Hold on, let me go retrieve her. Excuse me a moment.
I never got the agenda in an email today.
the what?
I never got the agenda in my email.
Really?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
You did, okay, no, I didn't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got the minutes. You threw that.
Yeah,
out there.
right, that was later.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I received.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
How are you guys?
Hey, how
How are
are you?
you?
Thank you for
Thank
giving me
you.
some time tonight. I wanted to talk to you about our land record system. And basically, it's not working anymore. It's become very, very problematic. It crashes several times a day. And I actually fell behind about a month in my recording because of the problems with the system. I've been on the phone and email with Nimric, and Adam, our IT guy, is also on the phone with them. They want us to go to their cloud system. And their cloud system is not really what it should be. It's not as secure as it should be. So I really don't want to do that.
Explain to.
I'm sorry. You don't know all about this system? I'm sorry.
So when a transfer takes place, land transfer takes place, what's the process you have to go through?
What I have to go through right now, and I do explain it in here, is I have to index it in the computer. That's usually when it jams. Or not jams, it usually will crash then.
So it's a software issue, right?
It's a software issue. I want to move to a new software.
Yeah.
So then, after I index it, I have to copy it into books. Then I assign the books page numbers. I go back to the index and put that information in. Then I have to scan the pages into the system. It's a tedious process, but it's how Nimric works. With COT, you get a scanner that goes with the system. You get your documents in, scan them. They will assign a booking page to the documents. All I have to do is finish the index. And then later on, I actually print out the books. You don't have to copy anything into books anymore. And what the other clerks are telling me is that you buy the books from COT and you get them at a discount price. So it's less expensive to buy the books through them.
Okay, all right, I'll just,
So that's the process. But what's happening to me now is I'm trying to index things, it jams, and then I lose information and I have to start over. And it's been very frustrating.
So-
Dave will tell you.
so all the information you have with Nimric, will they give?
They will migrate it in,
They will.
yes. And we actually have 40 years of land records on our system right now, which is great. A lot of towns don't have that. But it's going to be less expensive for us to migrate it over because they don't have to come down and scan everything again. It's all done. And it would be $6,000 to buy the program. That includes the scanner you get. And then he estimated about $11,000 to migrate everything over. At that point, you just pay the monthly fee, which he said it would be around $170 to use the program. I don't know, Dave, do you know? Were you able to find out what we
able
pay?
to, because we have to break it out of the overall, because we have so many Nimric modules, but the $2,500 annual fee is nothing, really. We're paying Nimric all kinds of annual fees for the modules we use. We'd be dropping this one. So the difference would be minimal at best.
So where's it stored?
It's stored, right now, with Nimric, it's stored on two
Well,
servers?
Yeah, on
two
our
servers?
RCS servers.
Right.
But with this, it would be stored there plus 3 other places that they have secure locations for.
Yeah, it's Iraq and Columbus, Ohio. And that's
We'd be put on a rack.
So, do we have VPN here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But we can't use Nimric
You
on that.
can't.
No.
Was it
This we
Ethernet?
could,
How do they do it?
right through the server.
Okay.
I couldn't take something home and work on it right now, but with this you could.
Yes, and I found that annoying too, because I can't go on my pages in Nimric remotely at home, which is a pain.
So what are we gonna do
Is
with
there a
it?
reason why
Well-
there's a reason why it's that way though, right?
Old
For
software.
security?
No, it's old
Reasons?
software.
Yes, it's
Yeah, I
been
mean,
around a long time.
what
They haven't
we'll be doing with
upgraded.
Nimric, Marlene's can be cleanly carved out of everything and moved aside with the COD system. The rest of us are stuck in kind of the statewide accounting system. And us leaving it is far more problematic. Same with the listers, but the state has already taken away the grand list from, they've awarded it to a new company who is currently converting from NIMRIC into their system. So there's different parts being taken out of the whole NIMRIC package. We'll be the last ones. But see, the accounting, ours is complicated because it has to cross-reference and index things. I mean, the accounting program, accounting is, enter in, crunches, comes out. But hers has a whole bunch of indexing things, and if this is superior, it's really not going to cost any difference in the long run on an annual basis to us. With the restoration fund, we already have over $25,000 in there, which is solely to maintain and keep up your records, which this system fits right into. So it's a zero cost to the
Is
town.
it like Access?
It's,
Is it like Access, that program you're having problems with?
I don't know Access,
Oh,
so
okay,
I'm not
yeah.
sure.
Or Microsoft, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's anything like Access
Okay.
or not, but
I'm just trying to
I
figure
know
out
it's-
what kind of program Merrick is.
it's an indexing program,
Yeah.
and they're trying to make it more than what it actually is meant to be. They've had to go online to keep customers, but they did it in a really rushed way. And it, COT is far superior for anybody using it. Dave will tell you,
I got bombarded by visiting researchers the other day. I thought Marlene must have set me up.
It just, but it just sounds expensive, when you hear 6,000 and 11,000.
Not
And
really, for the conversion.
I don't know the prices,
Yeah.
that's the thing, but to me it sounds expensive.
Because we just went
It's
through a lot of
not.
conversion with
program.
records for us under some of the money that was around during COVID to preserve records. So this is right in the ballpark. And getting the scanner, which is a really robust little scanner, I must say, where she'll be able to scan directly into the system rather than the way we do it now is kind of a plus.
right now,
So the way
I
you-
wait in line behind researchers and attorneys.
So
to get-
you're gonna be able to scan this and it'll go right to Merrick
It'll go right to COT.
or COT. Yeah.
And with NIMRIC, it's 24
NIMRIC,
hours before
okay.
you get to see what I've done that day.
Okay.
They upload it at night so researchers could see it. With COT, it's instantaneous. As soon as I put it in the system, researchers
As
can
soon as it
search
goes in
it.
the scanner, they've got it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it kind of needs to be explained that, how many years ago did you start putting money into an account for this purpose?
Oh, not that long. It was
Yeah,
a
only
couple of years.
ago.
2
yeah.
years ago, every time you take a fee for a record, for dog,
$4 of it goes
$4 of it goes into,
a restoration fund.
Restoration fund.
and that's, we could, how many thousands is in that now?
25 something.
25,000.
25,000 of there, just for this purpose.
Oh, so it's
Can only
covered.
be used for
Yeah,
this
it's
purpose.
covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're covered.
Oh, wow.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Plus it's been
I'm not worried.
It's just been so busy with land records the past couple of years that I just simply cannot deal with a bad program. I don't have the time to deal with it.
Well, as long as this is secure,
It is.
yeah, that's,
Yeah.
and I'm looking
And
at
a
the
lot of-
towns that are in it, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of towns use it. I've included some emails I got from other clerks who use it, and just to see what they have to say. Everybody loves it that uses it.
So great reviews and.
Yes.
Why don't we have a motion, and then we can have a discussion, if need be?
I make a motion that we change to the COT system.
Second,
A little discussion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second,
Okay.
now we can have discussion.
I would like to also, at some point, put our dog records and our marriage license records into COT system. From what I hear, those are next to nothing, cost-wise, but I will, he's gonna get me all the numbers for those also. But that would be, a little bit down the road. Just because things crash
Yeah.
so frequently with all of NIMRIC right now, that it's not easy.
I'm just kind of curious, is the cost system one individual person like Nimric was,
No.
or is it a,
No, it's an actual company.
so they're going to keep going?
So it's a
Yes,
network
yes.
of,
The
They're
future
growing.
of it.
They're growing. They're throughout New England at least, if not further.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very
Opposed?
much.
So carried.
I'll get out of your way.
Make your life better.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Dave doesn't have to listen to me swear anymore.
That's where you got that.
Part of, that's part of the fun.
Okay,
Art, if we can have a change of order in the meeting, because
Yes.
Kathy Carter is
Yes, Kathy.
the head of the cemetery committee, and I
Yes.
believe I put the discussion on the supervisor's job dead last, so I don't, ooh, that word. Yeah, and I don't think she wants to listen to the whole discussion of transfer
Transfer
station
stations.
buildings and rates and everything, so.
come on up, Kathy. Okay, basically, we lost our cemetery commissioner, I guess,
Superintendent.
Or superintendent, who was, before it was Ken Coonrat, who was just a blessing, who did a lot of this stuff, but we tried to get one person to kind of take the whole job, which was not only being responsible for all the records and all that sort of stuff, but also being responsible for the upkeep, other than what the guys doing mowing the lawns and all that sort of stuff were. I'm just trying to explain it to these guys. So we've kind of, since the last person we hired didn't work out.
He was here for a year.
Yeah,
He's gone on to.
and so what we'd like to do is that, to break it down into two different jobs, sort of like, and I think that should be what was sent to you.
Yeah.
Basically, we would hire, our cemetery work is being done by Jay Coonrat, and we could, his contract is coming up next year. We could put some wording into it where we could have him do jobs that you think is cutting brush and fixing some fences and that sort of stuff outside of his mowing. We would know what our set rate is and all that sort of stuff. That's what he does for a living, so it would be a lot easier. And what we're really hiring is somebody that would do our records, keep track of the plots, put in corner markers and that sort
Work
of
with
stuff.
the funeral homes,
Work with the-
yeah, be
very-
more of a records person.
Very
That's-
important that they work with the funeral homes. Because that's
Yeah.
gotta happen quickly. In other words, when they get a death,
Right.
they go into
right.
action and try to find the plot and all that
May
sort
have
of
to
stuff.
sell a plot,
Yeah.
yeah, sell a lot to
Yeah.
it, yeah, yeah. I think the reason that Dave wanted to do this, which was a good idea, is it's been really hard to get someone that can do both. You know, that they're really savvy about the records and be able to put them into the computer, and they need work. You know, the records have not always been kept, you know, so that you can find things easily. So there's a lot of
Room for
research that gets done, and they really do have to go out and make sure that everything is right. And so the other part of the job is the physical part of, you know, keeping up. Ken, you know, it was a labor of love for him. He wanted the cemeteries to look nice, and
Took pride on it.
yeah, and so it's hard to get somebody that can then do the physical work too. I think this was something that Dave presented, was, we could see how this worked as far as, you know, whether it's a contract or how that works, you know, but we really needed to get somebody hired. So that's why we've kind of split it apart. I guess I just don't want to make sure that this is what we always have to do if it doesn't work, you know, because it's always, historically, it's been a position that does all of that. It's just, we haven't,
Yeah.
I think, in a long time.
Of course, one of the reasons we're talking about it tonight is because tomorrow you're gonna interview 3 people.
3 people.
And so what they want is the blessing of us to say, yes, it's going to be a split thing. It's going to be different than what it has been. So that's basically why we're talking about it tonight.
Yeah, because the cemetery committee makes recommendations to the select board, and the select board's person who has to make that happen.
So it's basically too much for one person, so you're gonna split it into 3 positions.
It's finding the mix too. It's
Two
finding
positions.
someone who, you know, because Ken was great and the exception, because he, during the summer, he would spend a lot of time out working on this. Now, the person who replaced him, you know, had a lot of other obligations and just couldn't spend the same amount of time, and finding that person who's gonna do all this stuff and then kind of be off during the winter, except for responding to funerals, is more difficult. This is more a strict administrative job, and they'll be paid year-round, just like we break up the mowing for Jay, so it has income year-round. But they'll be there to respond to someone who wants to buy a plot, wants to find where their plot is. When Mahar or someone else calls any day of the week, they'll have the flexibility. That's our key thing. You have to be flexible. The phone rings. You have to take care of this issue, and you have to take care of it this week. And meanwhile, when the committee identifies like the projects we wanted this year, if it gets too far out of the scope of just expanding the maintenance contractor's base job, you know, we have other contractors we can go to for this stuff. And we had discussed, well, we're talking about a new fence along the
Cleveland Ave.
yeah, Cleveland Avenue. And, you know, the bidding of the contracts for that are probably easier to go straight through me anyway, because they all have to go out to bid, and then they all have to be approved by the board. And then when it's actually constructed, I don't think it would be much more than anything we've built in the parks lately. For technical things, I asked Mike to swing by and just, you know, see that mechanically it's going right, and I'll oversee the paperwork, and it's just kind of easier to keep the financial stuff in one place when we go out to bid for things.
So are we gonna consider surface stripping to restore the fence, maybe, or no?
I don't even know what surface stripping
To
is.
sandblast?
No, you can't.
Oh, we can't,
It's
we've been
lead.
through that. It's lead. We have to
But-
build a whole containment
But-
system
But
around
what
it.
I'm getting at is, there are places in Massachusetts that do surface stripping. You could probably take the fence down, put it on a truck, bring it to them, they would do it, then when it's done, you can come
I
back
don't
and
think we
paint
ever
it.
looked into that. We could look
We,
into
we
that.
actually
Oh,
did,
we?
yeah, and it was gonna be cost prohibitive. That's not the fence we're talking about, though.
Oh.
Although it does need painting, and we
Yes.
went through this a couple of years ago.
I
That's what we
I
thought
thought
we
you
were
were
gonna
talking about
do.
I thought you were talking about the fence on Route 7A.
We were gonna repaint that, and then Dave found out that it's lead paint, and you'd have to tent it and all
Yeah.
that.
It's a whole,
But there's no fence along Cleveland Avenue. There used to be a fence, I guess. And, so we wanted to put something in there.
That was just a chain link or something,
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
nothing fancy.
No, it wasn't anything like the front. So eventually, hopefully next year, we'll be able to do that. It was on track for this year, then we lost our person. So, some of the
So
jobs
you've got
didn't
3
happen.
good candidates.
yeah, we have 3 candidates to start in the morning.
For the administrative
The
part of the
administrative
job.
position,
I have a little hesitancy just to make sure that everything that was done in the job description before, you know,
It's in there.
yeah, I'm just a little worried about the oversight in the cemeteries.
Well,
you
you're
know.
gonna do year by year. I was gonna suggest that you evaluate it at the end of the year, you know, at the end of a year to see
Yeah,
whether it's gonna work or not.
Yeah.
You know, and then,
and we talked about, Dave, we talked about having Jay kind of keep track of how much is this extra stuff gonna take?
Yeah, and you know, the hourly rate, and we have a lot of discussions over the modification of, yet to go, of the modification of the contract. Because it will be line out, like we do in a lot of contracts, there's extras, and the hourly rate for this, and can you do this? I think we can manage it, but, you know, this is this year's product, this is this year's cemetery superintendent description, and we can modify it as we go along, you know? We can modify the contractual end of it. If things start to stream out of Jay's contract, then, or the maintenance person's contract, so I keep calling it Jay's contract, then, you know, we adjust on the fly.
Okay. I think we probably ought to have a motion.
Yeah, you have a motion, and it's just accept the superintendent
The proposed superintendent's.
job description.
Revised.
Revised job
Yeah.
description.
so moved.
Second,
We have a motion and Second,
A second from Ken.
second from Ken. Okay. Any further discussion? We're all set?
We're
All
good?
those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Opposed?
I just want to talk just a minute about, we had
I was gonna ask you, yeah, yes.
we had our day in the cemetery, Center Cemetery on Saturday. I think we had 12 people there. They stood up and repaired 35 stones in that cemetery, mostly along, starting at Tunic Road, going down to there. A couple of them were really good-sized stones. You should take a ride through there.
They must have been dead tired.
I didn't recover. I really haven't recovered.
But, so they scrubbed them up? Did they use
We had
muriatic acid
a
and
couple
stuff
of
like that?
groups that were cleaning stones.
Yeah.
But then we had a group of mostly men that were standing them up. And there's one there that we just took the clamps off. It was in 3 pieces. And it's right on the road from Tunic in on the left. It's still braced up, I think, and that they were able to put back up. And there's so many to do that.
Stones aren't easy to clean. I've cleaned my grandmother and grandfather's stone at the cemetery in North Bennington, and my father's sister, she's got a white marble stone with like a lamb on top, and stuff like that. Anyway, she died, at birth. But my daughter and I got muriatic acid and, did our mix, and we scrubbed it and did our thing, and, it was gloves and all that fun stuff and respirators. But anyway, we did our thing, and it really cleaned it up nice. But even though using muriatic acid, it still took some elbow grease. It took some scrubbing.
No, not on my marble, no.
Oh, you don't?
No,
Oh.
Etching it, you're opening up.
Yeah.
you're
Oh, well,
opening
it's
up
not.
the
It's not
pores.
polished marble anyway. It's
Even more so.
Yeah.
You're opening up the pores.
well, I guess. I
We had a whole, let me tell you.
but it
it's
looked better.
D2.
It looked better.
Let me flip the stone, I can make it.
Okay.
With a biologic D2. It does, I did my nephew's, and it's
Yep.
white with the, lamb and everything. It really got a lot cleaner. But anyway, that was done, and the president of the Vermont Old Cemeteries Association, first he was very upset about the stones being power washed in the past. That he said, this is a historic cemetery. There's 1765 is the earliest grave. They're very fragile. He said when you even power wash it, you're opening up,
Sure. Not like
the
that.
pan.
Power per square inch on a pressure washer. That's.
Well, even if you
Yeah.
turn it way down,
Yeah.
but the other thing he said is you really need to turn the mower around or put the bagger on or something, because the stones are covered in grass.
Oh, no.
And he said anything that's getting thrown up on the stones, whether it's grass or gravel or anything, which there is now, there's stuff from where we.
If the grass is wet, it's going to stick to the stones. If the grass is dry,
It stays there, even if it's, after
Oh,
it's
really?
dry,
Yeah.
it was staying there, it's all over the stuff. So I'm saying that because when you come to the contract, we have some very old stones in Maple Hill, in Center, and in Grandview. Really old stones. And once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
And if you use anything like that, just weather will take it so that you can't read them anymore,
beats it down, yeah.
Didn't we have a section of center that was done with private funds?
Huntington
Huntington.
funds were used for that, which they can be. It's for the upkeep of that. And Huntingtons go all the way to the road coming in off 7.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was just it. It was a success anyway.
thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Thank
Ken.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
That wraps it up, doesn't it?
No, We've got a lot more to do here.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got
Well, I haven't seen the agenda yet.
Oh, that's right.
transfer station. Okay, so
There we go.
once we took over control, we decided that what we really wanted to do was make some ramps so that people could walk in it at the higher level, dump stuff into the things and all that sort of stuff. So Dave has gotten a hold of the engineers, because this really has to be, make sure it's a
Yeah.
public place.
Yeah, it has to be ADA, it has to
ADA.
meet every standard imaginable. So the original thought was we could just build it, but we really can't do that. So
You're still gonna have town crew build it?
I don't know, it
don't?
depends on how complicated this gets. We'll get
Okay.
to how complicated the shed got, so
Okay.
hopefully this won't get as complicated. But we have a rough draft from Goldstone Architects, who were the original architects of both the garage, and they oversaw the original project. So what they're looking for the existing conditions and design, there really won't be any construction oversight, it's not complicated to do. Would be about 5720 to design and get it approved for the ramps. And that's just the ramps.
So that's just a design and a stamp that says it's
Yeah, it's just to get it designed so it meets all the multiple criteria it's gonna have to meet. But it will provide a great benefit. The original concept was from our former contractor there, and I always had wanted it to be more like the Sunderland thing, so that people would be at this level and throwing down. Instead, we had people throwing up or walking into a container. That was the previous contractor's preference. So what we're in our contract with Casella, and these are on order, and like everything else, it may take months for these to arrive, which is good for us. They will be much taller containers, and the ramps will lead up to a level where everyone will just be putting their paper down into sliding doors into this much bigger container, recyclables too. And if you remember when we were talking about the transfer station, it's important that we get much larger containers to reduce the number of hauls we have, because both of those containers now are kind of ridiculous. One's really small for the cans and bottles, and the shipping container that's used for paper, you can't really load that correctly. So it'll, in the long run, it'll save us money by cutting these hauls down.
but the document we get, is enough so that we could give it to a contractor and
Yeah.
say, build this.
Yeah, we're ready to build
Yeah,
from there.
okay, so-
Yep. Yeah, so, and I think that's something that we need to go ahead with.
We've got to.
It's just a necessary change to the operation. I think it's essential. I mean, you know, when Casella took over, they tried to modify it and almost made it worse because they had a taller container with a little rickety ladder going up the side of it, and, you know, you have people of all abilities coming up to it, and then I went up the ladder, and it's kind of frightening because it was not attached, as I found out when I got on it. And I'm like, oh, well, this is not what we had in mind. So this will make it much, and this is probably the biggest complaint we get is, it got better when I shortened the container, but of course that increases the number of hauls. But now at least people aren't like, you know, pressing their cans over their head to dump in. So,
That's the complaint, yeah.
yeah, so what I'd like to do is go ahead, I'm asking the board's permission to go ahead and get a formal contract that then we will agree on from Goldstone to get the engineering done for this, or the architecture, I should call it, done for this.
With an estimated cost of
I just added it up.
$57.20, did you?
No, it's 56,720. That's a big number. 5720.
$57.20.
Yeah, 56,720 would be quite a ramp. That would.
Wood? Jesus, the pyramid.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Just, the price sounds a little high to me, that's all.
Well, what,
Okay, we have a motion
Yeah.
and a second, so now we can have discussion. Well, this is good.
Yeah.
what's the construction material that you're using? Is that
This has
aluminum?
nothing to do with construction, this is
It's
just
just a
design.
Just
Just
the
for the
design.
is it being designed with wood, metal?
Oh, yeah, it'll be wood, because, it has to be, it'll be wood or a surface that best fits the fact that it has to be slip resistant. You know, there's a lot of things that have to be factored into this, which is why
Well,
it
yeah,
has
you
to
can
be
get
built the same
slip
way.
resistant metal steps.
Yeah, it all depends, and there's rules for this stuff.
ADA, that's the
So
problem.
that's why we need an architect to design it, because
Stability.
there's rules to the surface materials, there's rules to the height, there's rules to the height of the railings you have to have, there's rules to the pitch of, because we have to have a ramp plus a staircase.
Yeah,
Isn't that anything you can look up?
No,
Them ought to
because
be,
it's a huge risk to the town
right,
to have me do what I originally thought we should do,
right.
is just draw it and build it. Because the first person who teeters off the edge has us cold, because we didn't do it correctly. And so you have to think of the whole town and liability, so you just have to,
Right.
you just have to do it.
just so we need some more regulations.
That's what it is.
Well, I mean, common sense plays a part too when you approach a staircase or a ladder. Come on.
No, doesn't.
No, no,
Common sense does not apply with a lawyer.
Ah, you're right.
Common sense applies if it was done,
That's
if
right.
it was designed according to specifications that sit in all these rule books.
right,
And then common sense comes in if you decide you're gonna walk up the ramp backwards.
right,
But if you design it and it doesn't meet one standard, you're in trouble.
right.
It just seems to me that somewhere they ought to be a book that's got them regulations in there that we can do it ourselves.
Sounds like they're making a big deal out of something that's pretty simple.
That would be one way of looking at it. Wait till we get to the shed.
Yeah.
Uh,
Remember, you got public access.
Yeah, this is, the
That's
big
the
problem with
problem.
this is you could do this anywhere. If you had a business,
Yeah.
you could build this yourself.
That's right.
But we're a municipality,
Yeah.
we're a government agency, and we're held to a different level here.
Standard, yeah.
And we have a broader responsibility. So it's kind of our obligation to make sure that every box is checked.
It's more like a broader liability.
Point of view. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, responsibility or
Well,
liability.
The thing would be if you had to go to court. and
Yeah,
it wasn't
no, I know what
designed,
I know what
you
you're
it's-
saying.
you know, would this
You're either
also-
gonna pay the designer or you're gonna pay the lawyer. It's one of the two.
Right, so we would.
You'll pay the
then-
lawyer more.
If there were money available, it would help us to get a grant or something if it was ADA compliable.
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah.
wouldn't get any money if we designed it ourselves.
Right.
We're not gonna get any money anyway, I don't think,
No,
because I don't
no,
think
I
there's
mean,
anything out there.
if somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if the infrastructure bill ever passed, this stuff would be prime for it, which is why the shed's gonna be postponed, for one, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the ramp is, something that we really need to get going.
Yeah,
We promised the public.
yeah, but they've
Yeah.
been complaining about it,
Yes.
and they have a right to complain.
Yeah, I agree, they do have a right to complain about this,
Yeah.
because, I mean, frankly, I didn't like it, but I went along with what was recommended by our contractor at the time.
Okay.
Would it be cheaper just to have somebody stand there and that works for the town and haul their stuff into it for them?
Then we would have to fit the regulations on reaching hazards, and,
Right. And they'd have to, yeah.
then we'd have OSHA issues, you know? So I can get a formalized contract for this, for the next meeting then.
Okay, so we have a motion, we haven't taken a vote on it yet. So we have a motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Reluctantly, aye.
I still, this is just for the design.
That's right.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the material is, the design will be the
Whatever they're
same.
gonna recommend, yeah.
Well, they'll
Okay.
recommend the material that meets the requirements of the
We
codes.
could go aluminum or something. Anyway, yeah, aye. Well,
Okay.
yeah,
For the design.
for the design,
Yeah.
yes. yeah.
Okay, so we have 400,
Okay.
okay?
Are they gonna give us options? Like, are they gonna give us several designs to choose from? Like, one that's made of wood, one that's made of aluminum, something like that? I mean,
No.
So I think the design would change, the structural
Yeah.
integrity of the material's gonna change.
It'll cost you more.
Well, that's,
They're probably gonna draw the thing right out, Joe.
What we're talking about is, and what was sent around was the platform and ramp structure to be constructed of pressure-treated lumber, meeting all building code required loads and requirements, including fall protection guards and handrails. And then it goes into the foundation, helical piles rather than concrete piers, and blah, 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 it kind of goes on. But we are looking for lumber because it'll work better. It'll have to be treated and surf non-slip, so you have to treat that, and it may be as we develop the plans, that's not the best.
well, I was gonna say, if you want longevity, you'd probably want something made, that's gonna be around a while, something that's made of steel or something made of aluminum. But I don't think the pressure-treated wood's gonna last you, what, 10, 15 years maybe?
Longer than that.
And if you're gonna be maintaining it, you're looking at the expense of that as well, for the labor and the materials.
Yeah, that's why there will be alternative, if you don't like the,
I mean, the price difference is gonna have to be very significant to wanna go with wood.
yeah, it probably would be. But that's all stuff, we have to start exploring, and the only way to explore that is to get it designed and then see how many linear feet of aluminum planking we need and how many linear feet of.
But the design will be different. That's the
The
thing that.
fundamental design will be different. You still have to cover the same amount of area and the same railing
Right,
heights and
right.
everything else.
Yeah, as far as the dimensions go,
Yeah.
for the, what do you call it, your incline for the ramp and stairs or whatever.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah.
That's all gonna
Oh,
remain the same,
it's all gonna be the same.
whatever it's made of, yeah.
Yeah, it's all gonna be the same. But what I can do with them is just discuss, I'll just discuss that with them. About aluminum and other options, so how do you wanna work that? Because remember, you're not signing a contract tonight.
No,
Just
no.
going ahead, that I'll bring in the contract at the next meeting, and I'll talk to them and say, this came up.
I'm
Can
just,
we address that?
my own curiosity, I'm just wondering, what the difference would be in cost between wood versus aluminum versus steel. Because there's a lot of things that are already pre-made out there that
Yeah.
would fit the standard. That, you could buy as a kit. If you look up, like Northern Tool, I think they sell stuff like that. Just, they do, yeah.
All right.
Okay, as we alluded to, the next one is the temporary shed ramp.
Yeah, well, let's cover the shed, which
Shed itself.
started out as a nice little shed
She said.
that I discovered is considered a municipal building.
No.
So a municipal building has to be built to the state fire codes and requires,
Does it have plumbing?
no, it doesn't need to, apparently.
Well, you think you would have to.
And it doesn't need to. That's the first thing I checked out, and this is why I talked to them, because they report back that we are going to need a permitted operation to build this, or it will be rejected. And so we need to design this to code, because it will be considered a municipal building.
But it's a
As a
shed.
municipal building, well, we are using the wrong term. It's not a shed, it's an office. We are building an office, not a shed. The thing that she's in now is a weathered old shed. The thing we're building is not going to be a shed, it's going to be a place for our 2 employees to get out of the weather, to keep their records, to record things.
What makes a shed different from a building?
My definition of shed is not an office space. This is where they're assigned to work, in an office. And, office in the context of anyone who works in the field can come into and get out of the rain, process the paperwork for the day, and move on. What they've had there, that shed, which is taking a gardening shed and putting a table in it, is just It's just not gonna work. It's really, that's where we're at. So this is why, because the original 11, I mean, when you get into having to have,
How has it worked for all these years and now it doesn't?
well, because it laid there and nobody knew, but that's kind of done with. Now we're building something,
Right.
and
Change.
now when we're building something, we have to be responsible in the way we do it. And this is why we're also not moving forward with this, because this has gone from maybe $11,000 little office structure that I imagined in my head to maybe a $35,000 project. So we're looking for alternatives. So we're shelving the shed/office for now, until we can come up with alternatives, which may even be as simple as going and getting a small prefab building and dropping it down there, because the prefab building will come with its diagrams and sketches, and that can be submitted.
And it should be up to fire code as well.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. What we were, we got into so many things came up. I was like, I can't even believe that this is becoming this complicated. But we have to live in the world, and this is where it is. So,
You may be better off finding a prefab just for
well,
that reason.
this is why I wanted, which I'm just informing you of this because this is already out of hand. So we would need 6 months or so to start looking at other things and come up with maybe something just a drop on that slab that's already there. Find something 20 by 10 pre-built, pre-wired, ready to go,
What
stamped.
about those ones down by the,
A multi-room, so
VFW,
they have a
medic-
break room with an espresso
No, yeah, that's what I
bar.
mean. There's a whole variety of things out there. That's why I'm saying we're gonna put this shed office to the side right now so we can look at alternatives like that. Because there are a lot of things on the market that we could probably get in here for a lot cheaper than this thing.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna do it tomorrow, which brings us
Well,
to
we can do some
page.
research, yeah.
Yeah, that brings us to Averti. If you remember, we had rented a trailer out here for the
Right.
winter while we renovated in here. So I went to Averti to get a couple of quotes for a small 20-foot office, ground level container office,
Which
And
is on the back side.
then a field office, which is more like the one we had out here, except much smaller.
That's a container.
I don't want them to
It's a
be
shipping container.
in
Yes.
where they are for the winter again. And I don't think the townspeople want them in there for the winter again, and now they're both our employees, so I would like to rent one of these.
Send them somewhere.
The ground office, the level office container is a little grim. It's a container office, it has kind of small windows with bars on them. It's kind of creepy, it's good for Halloween, but it's,
So is it spray foam insulation?
the details are on another sheet.
Okay.
But it is insulated, it has a heater and everything, but it lacks the visibility I think they should have there, so they can keep track on it.
Bars in the windows?
Huh? Yes, there's bars on the windows.
I have that, like, third world charm, I mean.
Yeah, it's really kind of odd. So I looked at the smaller 24-foot trailer. We had a fairly large trailer out here because there were 3 of us working in there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a 24-foot trailer, but it has the same design of windows so that, they could see people driving directly in, see people right out to the side, see people out the back who are actually at the containers, so that when they're inside, they'll be able to keep track of everything too. And we spent the entire winter in that thing out here. It was perfectly fine, and this is heated the same way, insulated the same way. And the field office one is $295 a month. And there's a drop-off charge and a pickup charge, obviously, but it'd be a few grand to keep it for 6 months while we try and sort out what else we're gonna do up there. And if we're gonna build up there, we're getting into the winter, so that gets a little problematic anyway. So what I'd like the board to vote on is to let me get a field office for the transfer station. And we'll lease it, we'll tell them at least 6 months till May, from like December 1st till May. And by then, we'll have something, whatever we're gonna do there permanently, we should have worked out by then. And if they ever pass the infrastructure money, well, we actually have money to build it too. So,
oh, could we
When-
buy a trailer like that?
When do we hear about
I was
that?
gonna say,
Well, if they have to pass
Can
the
you
bill
buy this?
first.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Oh, you mean, you're talking about the,
Oh,
buy one like
the-
that office trailer.
They're in
well,
Congress, yeah.
this is
I thought you were
smaller.
talking about the
Uh,
relief money that
20.
was
Uh,
sent to
Oh,
Vermont.
one is
well, we
bigger.
already have half of that.
This is 20 feet.
Half
The
of
other one is
it? Yeah.
24.
Oh.
The other half is coming
I got you.
next year,
Yeah,
but,
because that was,
and that
that's
we'll be
rent.
talking
No,
about
that's the one that
too.
sits on the ground.
Yeah.
He's
But
talking-
that
what he's
can't be
talking
used for
about.
infrastructure.
That's more like a
though.
storage trailer.
Flip it over.
Why, that was the whole purpose
what he's
of it.
talking
No, it can
Oh,
only be
this
used for
one?
water,
Yeah.
sewer, broadband, and a few other things.
But this is
Right.
rented to buy.
But
Yeah,
I thought
Yeah.
that was for other,
not
Why don't
for,
we buy one like that?
there's,
doesn't cover bridges, doesn't
I can
cover,
ask.
no,
Why don't we buy one like this?
nothing with roads.
no, minimal things with roads, but I don't wanna get off the topic. Bring
Yeah,
that up
okay, yeah.
afterwards, because there are interesting,
Well, could we buy something like that,
So
Dave?
that's
Well-
rent to buy.
because
Oh,
as a temporary location, it works. But I have to look into, we have to go back to ADA,
oh.
and do we have to have it? The other thing with it, because it's elevated, you know, the idea is to follow like the panel design where people can drive in and they can charge people so we can record things as it comes in. So this is elevated, but because this is turning into such a fiasco with my office, shit, everything might be back on the table, including maybe just getting one of these. But I just want to secure something so they don't freeze and stand out or be in that thing with multiple things plugged into the wall trying to keep warm. I just want to get the trailer to get them through the winter, and then I think everything's on the table for a permanent fix up there. But like I said, the trailer, which who knows? Maybe we do buy a trailer. Maybe we buy the trailer that's there from Averti. Who knows?
Well, yeah, but if we had something just for the town employees, why does it have to be ADA?
I have to confirm that it doesn't
Yes,
have to be
right.
temporarily, like we did out here.
You do.
You could buy a residential
They're
trailer,
not,
couldn't you?
nobody, the public don't go in there, it don't have
It's a
to.
public
But what
building,
if they're
though.
handicapped?
They have to be able to get in.
Right.
So there's a whole bunch
Yeah.
of things going on here. That's why there's so many questions. We need to just have some time to explore different avenues of where to go. And I don't want to be rushing it when there's an alternative here that we can just do this for a few months, just like we did with the other thing. And any reasonable accommodation for anybody who needs to talk to them can be done, because we're keeping the Casella one. That's going to become the swap shed. They agreed to sell that to us a few months ago. We still haven't done anything about it, but they agreed to sell it to us a few months ago. And we'll just get rid of one Shelley's in now because it's about to fall apart. And
We pretty much promised the people at a public meeting.
yeah, that we would.
We
That we would do something.
And I think for winter, we just need to put them somewhere.
Yeah.
And for winter, we can get away with it because we're running out of time. And it's just come back that the permanent solution is a little unreasonable at the moment, so.
Yeah, this was supposed to have been dealt with a while ago, though.
Can we at least have a motion, and then we can still
Yeah.
have discussion, but at least get a motion, and then we can discuss later if we want to.
I move we explore the shed
Oh,
for the transfer station.
What's it called?
The temporary
The
office trailer.
24-foot field office, commercial field
24,
office.
yeah, 24 feet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
second.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion that we rent the 24-foot field office for 6 months.
6 months, and that's all we need.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ken. So now we can discuss, any further discussion?
So if we're gonna rent it, what's the rent per month? Just what we're paying,
$295.
what we're paying now?
$295 would be it per
That's what we're
month.
paying now? Is
We
that-
are-
Oh, no, we don't
We're
have
not paying
anything,
We're
yeah.
not paying anything, right?
No,
But we have a,
So it's $295 a month?
yeah. Yeah, and the only other add into this, there's a drop-off charge and pickup charge, which is $362. And we'd have to have Hathaway move the power, just like they did from the garage into the trailer out here, just run a line from, she has an outlet on her shed, which I'm amazed at, but,
where's the wire coming from?
all the way from the main building,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Now that I think
Is
about
that underground?
Yeah, it was all designed that way to run through the whole place. And it comes up there, and that's where, again, we have to plot this all out. And where the trailer will go will be there's a 20 by 10 pad behind where Shelley is now, and it'll be there, and that's why we need more windows so they can see from there everything going on and can go out to assist people when they need to, because we have to leave the other part open because that's where the permanent structure is going to go. So we can't have the trailer wired in where the permanent structure is going to go. So we have to put it off to the side.
So Shelley or Greg are gonna have to walk out to people and collect the money?
Yeah, just like we do now.
Just like we
That's
do now.
that's what they do now. I mean, they sit inside, and some people can come inside, but they can go out and assist anybody whenever they need to. It's I don't like the container thing was what I was thinking because it's on the one level, but
Well,
the door and everything about it was just kind of weird.
going out to get the money right, to help, or
Yeah.
whatever, I mean, it kind of gives you a visual of what the people have.
Yeah, I
as
mean,
well, so
we're
it's not
doing
like
it the
things
same
get
way.
Snuck in under the radar.
Yeah, it's actually just going to run
Yeah.
the same way it is now, because that's essentially what they do. Actually, they'll have much better visibility from now because in the winter, she always has to close the door or she's going to freeze. So Greg was just peering out through the little window in his shed. Now they will have windows everywhere. And like I said, we had it here and it was perfectly warm in there, so it's not the ideal solution to this by any means, but I never expected this from when we started to go up like this.
What are they using now? Space heaters?
Yeah,
Like kerosene?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, two space
Electric,
heaters
yeah.
in hers, both electric, and he had a kerosene, which he wasn't our employee, so we didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't allow him to use a kerosene in it now. And now, like I said, that'll just become the swap shed, and it'll be unheated, just so that people don't linger and shop. We kind of need turnover on the floor.
okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
No.
All those in favor of the motion of renting the office shed for 6 months, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Okay. Now, one last thing is the proposed rates for what they would charge for people when people come in and bring stuff in. Did you guys?
Did everyone have a chance to look through this?
Yeah.
Basically, the rates are the same for everything. This is more an updated schedule. We went through Bennington's and went through Pownell's, and we used our original one. The numbers on the side, like next to access permit, you have 100. This is just for when we start with the cash register, which our auditors have been honest about, and Pownell runs it very effectively. They're just using a simple code so that now that we're paying for everything that comes out of here, we'll know we'll have something to correlate it to. Everything's the same except it's updated the municipal solid waste. It's $2 with 12 bags. 12 pounds reflecting what we're doing now. The change is for the Freon. We're still taking things with Freon, but you pay $5 extra, like for a refrigerator or freezer that still has a Freon in it. You pay $15 for that. If it doesn't have Freon in it, it's only $10. Everything else really stayed the same. They had wanted to drop the sofa beds. They had been telling them to take them to Bennington to be weighed, but it was always in ours, so I left it in there because for a metal frame attached to your sofa bed, we're collecting $30, which is actually a pretty good fee. So it's been that fee for many years now, so I figured we'll just leave that in there. And the biggest change is on the back page. I put in a lot of things from the County Solid Waste Association of where to take certain items that we don't take, and that some people don't take at all.
Printed on them.
And of course, highlighting that we do not take construction or demolition debris. That has to be taken to Sunderland or Bennington for weighing. And e-waste, batteries always come up, but batteries can be taken like multiple locations. Same with automobile, marine batteries. Fluorescent bulbs can be taken places. Paint, you're supposed to take to where you bought it from. And then just questions about other items. It's up to the two attendants to either accept it or refuse it, which we can do and just tell you to bring it to hazardous waste day. Or it's too big, like we won't take a tire over 300 pounds. Somehow we got this giant tire there. And it's like, we're not taking any more of these. We'll continue to take tires, and these prices will stay the same because they're comparable to what it costs us to have Casella take them. But it's capped, just like Pownell's is at nothing over 300 pounds. Yeah, if you're replacing your 300-pound tire, why don't you just sell that to the tire guy? Not bring it to us. We really don't want it. So we're looking just for the board to approve the new rate schedule so we can post it and
Enforce it.
yeah, enforce it. Yeah.
How about brush and stuff like that?
Brush left the same. Yard waste is $10 up to 2 cubic yards and $20 up to 4 cubic yards.
They won't take brush up there though.
Yeah, yeah. We always did take brush, but some people think we should take it for free. But that pile up there, then I have to send a front loader up there. It has to be loaded. It has to be moved down to the bottom. There's still a cost. It costs us money to remove that stuff and to dispose of it. I mean, nothing's free.
Don't just burn it.
You're not in there. It all has to be moved to be burned.
Does Bennington take it for free because they have the composting up and back that chips it up and uses it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be the only difference. Bennington
Yeah.
may take it for
We
free.
have to we have to take clean wood, and we decide to take brush. But everyone pretty much. I don't know about Bangor. If they do, I wasn't aware of that. But we don't. I mean, we have to get rid of it, and we have to move it. I mean, it can't be burned there.
Okay. So,
We don't get that much of it anymore.
let's at least have a motion, and then we can discuss afterwards.
I'll make a motion that we accept the rate to, he's got them, but
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried 4-0-0. We've done the cemetery, so we will, DPW.
Oh yeah. Hold on a second. I buried that report. Hold on here. Okay, I think it's on my desk. So I'll just paraphrase.
Okay.
The Hollow project is finally finished, the bridge. They came back, you may remember A&R decided that the toe of the slope was too far into the river, so they went back last week and pulled it back up. A&R approved it, so that's completely done. That project's completely over with, so that's good. West Mountain was finished last week. As soon as it stops raining, it is going to be resurfaced. They're going to re-gravel the whole road, because whenever you dig up as much as they did, it gets slimy, and so waited a week or so, probably now, maybe even to next week, for it to settle in. Then they're going to re-gravel the top of the road. They're out doing grading when it stops raining, and basically getting ready, the road's ready for winter, which will be grading and things like that. And we have a new grant coming up too. Another grant and aid. We're not quite sure where we're going to use that one yet.
Do you have a kind of like a checklist for Mike? You talk to him once in a while, do you?
Yeah, yeah.
When they did the slope, the bank slope on Rollin Road, they left a section undone because they were going to still put a culvert in.
Mm-hmm.
They finally put that culvert in. That's all done.
That's all done, yeah.
Ask him if he's going to come back and put the netting on the last of the bank. Now, it's already kind of growing, grassing up anyway,
Yeah.
so maybe he doesn't feel it's necessary, but just run that
Okay,
past him,
I'll run
please.
that by him. We did go back and stone West Mountain because unfortunately it rained extremely heavy right after they finished, and most of the seed and hay washed away, and it became evident that with the new design, a lot more water was going to go through it. So now you see it's stone lined for a lot longer than it was.
Yeah,
And it has a lot of check dams in it too, so it should work pretty efficiently now.
Why did, they have Weaver do that instead of town do it?
It's more efficient, more cost efficient for Weaver to do it. It was a grant. Time is money, and whenever we send these guys to do a project, it means a road isn't getting graded, ditches aren't being done. That's been the theme all along.
Yeah, I know, but we just spent $100,000 for a backhoe.
Which is out working everyday ditching.
I know, Dave, but there's some of that. To me, we should be using our equipment when we can.
We get less done. I mean, what it boils down to is you get less done. If we use the grant money to fund our own stuff, we get less done.
No, I'm not saying use grant money for that. I just thought that should have been done by town crew, not a grant. Grant should be used for stuff that we can't do ourselves.
Well, then, on that theory, we should do everything. Because the only thing we really couldn't do is what was just done up in the hollow. But you do less if we insist on doing it all ourselves. Because while Weaver's crew spent a week and a half over there, our 6 guys were ditching, our 6 guys were grading, our 6 guys were putting in other culverts, our 6 guys were fixing this culvert problem on Twitchell Hill. There's a trade-off. There's always
No, I understand, Dave, but we got a lot of equipment and we gotta be using it.
And it's being used. It's
Okay.
being used all the time.
That's all I ask.
Yeah, no, it's being used all the time. In fact, it's kind of been my argument all along that having contractors doing projects just multiplies the impact on the roads, because instead of 6 guys trying to do everything, you have 6 guys plus a whole nother crew on a grant doing projects, and you're doubling the amount of work you get in a week. And, to me, I think it moves everything forward a lot better.
another thing that I've come to realize is that you never have 6 people.
You never have 6
You never
people.
have 6 people for a whole week. That's just about impossible.
Yeah.
Between vacations
Yeah.
and, gosh, I
Because
got.
we tell them you can't do anything all winter, and then you get into the summer, and so of course they want to take vacations. And, especially these last 2 years with COVID and everything, we've been, kind of squirrely to begin with. But yeah, I mean, your 6 people turns into 5, and then, someone's got to be doing the mowing. And with the new mower, we can do a lot more. So that guy's going to be doing that a lot more. Someone needs to be on the grader. The fact that we can run the grader a lot more, because we're not getting bogged down on construction projects for 3 weeks and 2 weeks at a time. I mean, there were times a few summers ago where this whole summer seemed to be into a project. And then, we got to get all the roads graded before winter. I just think it's a lot more efficient when you can bring in contractors, especially on grants, which we get a lot of. You're just essentially doubling your workforce for very little money. And our equipment does move.
I just wanna make sure it's getting
Yeah.
used, that's all.
Yeah, no, it is.
And I mean, they're doing a
Oh,
good
yeah,
job, I'm
yeah,
not complaining about that.
Well, I know. No, it's good to ask the questions, but I think it's a much more productive method of getting things done.
Okay. Any other business?
No, I have nothing else.
Oh, I asked you about that chloride, the other chloride.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a discussion we have to have coming up, because our contract with Innovative is expiring. I know Mike has expressed to me some hesitancy about the new material because of needing to change the pumps and the tanks and the spreaders. Because of its
How's the cost of
consistency.
it compare?
The cost is pretty, well, the cost is a little bit higher, but it gets better if it lasts longer and we use less.
Okay.
Now, that road,
We did Horton Hill, all
Yeah.
the way from the top of Twitchell,
Yeah.
which has your transition again.
Yeah,
Then you had a steep hill, you had flats, and then you had another
that's,
hill.
that's one of the high traffic roads.
It is, and very high, and I thought it worked really well. It held up all summer long.
I didn't know where to use it.
Yeah,
Alright, so-
after they did. Now, the other thing was is that I said to him, did you use this straight or did you cut it with water? And he says, I used it straight. And my comment was to him, next time, cut it with a little bit with water, maybe 50-50, because he said that there's all kinds of different ways you can use it. Because I thought it kind of stayed on the surface just a little bit and didn't soak down around. And I said,
Yeah.
if you give it water, but it really held up. So, like you said,
Yeah.
if it lasts several weeks longer and you don't have to use it as often.
yeah.
How much is he gotta change the equipment? What's he gotta do to change the equipment?
So I'm gonna have Mike come in
Yes.
and discuss this with you in any detail.
So Innovation Solutions, the contract is expiring, right?
Yes, it was a 3-year contract where we got the pumps, we got the tanks, we got everything from them.
So another product can't be fed through that same pump and tank? Or
Well, they own it.
Oh, so we don't own it.
Yeah,
I-
we don't own it,
I
they
thought
own it.
I was in the impression
And that
we
was
owned
one
the
of
equipment.
the interesting parts of their contract is, the pump blows out, they deliver a new pump.
That's, yeah.
That was a good benefit of theirs. The tank has a problem, they bring us a new tank.
Did we ever have any problems in the 3 years?
No, not that I'm aware of. Maybe,
Okay.
you know what, if the pump broke, I don't even think I'd hear about it because Mike would just order a new one
Yeah.
from the company for free.
But on the
Well, you're
other
not gonna
hand-
have trouble with the tanks anyway, cause they're plastic.
No. Well, this tank, well, never mind.
But there is a corrosive factor to magnesium chloride.
It is. It absolutely
It's tearing
is.
people's cars up,
It tears the truck up.
Yeah.
tears a truck up. It's
Yeah,
not as bad as calcium chloride, but magnesium
Yeah.
chloride is still a chloride.
yeah. It is better than the calcium, but it is still a corrosive.
I was out looking at used cars this summer, and I looked at some over in New York that weren't that old, but they had rust.
When
Yeah.
you use the brine,
Yep, yes,
Yeah, the brine's nasty.
yep, they eat some cars up like crazy, yeah. I was really
And
shocked to
this-
see it.
See,
this
they
is-
won't let us use motor oil.
but this is an organic
That's right.
product.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of money.
It is. So maybe what I should do is,
Yeah.
let's have Mike in for the next
Yeah.
meeting to discuss this, because that contract is coming up. So, this is a conversation I will defer to him to have with the board.
So are we satisfied with innovation?
I don't think we have any complaint about
Do,
it.
do we want to try and re-up with them, or we're gonna just,
Well, we would re-up with them pending the use of a new product. And the only thing really on the table is this new product, the lignosulfate.
Lignosulfate.
Yeah,
lignosulfate?
Yeah.
It's a byproduct of the pulp industry. It's the lignin from the trees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's totally different. It's not as corrosive and all, but this innovation solutions may end up carrying it too.
yeah, I don't know if they are or not. I mean, we only had the one company who approached us with it. So if we want to go that direction, yeah, they might, other people may have it. And we'd have to update the price, because we got, the sample price. If we went into a real contract, we'd have to see what they were offering for
What
a
the
contract.
difference is, yeah.
Yeah, because when you get into volume, and we'd have to calculate the volume, because it would not be as much as the stuff we're using now.
Well, I'd like to, know the cancerous effects of it too. I mean, like, stuff you're talking about shouldn't do anything.
Yeah, it's
from the
natural.
sounds of it.
Has a
Yeah.
smell to it. Has a strong smell to it.
Yeah,
Is it a good smell?
It's
It's a woody smell.
It's a different smell.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a woody smell.
Woodsy smell, yeah, everybody likes that.
and that fades after,
Yeah.
That's
very
right.
quickly.
Yeah.
yeah. But the road did hold up, there's no doubt about it. That road
Yeah,
did hold up
it
really
did.
nicely all year.
Yeah.
And that usually was a frequent grader road.
Look good too.
Well, that's a high-traffic road.
Yeah, it is.
And that's one of the,
Well, that's why,
probably the one most traveled dirt roads there is.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's why we picked it, because we wanted something, and like Art said, it has hills, it has a
Yeah,
flat. So you can imagine, you can extrapolate that off to, some of the smaller roads where, a nice grading job with that, treating the surface,
Could last all summer.
it could last all summer, yeah. I mean, yeah, some roads really don't get any volume, so it really could be a huge improvement.
Okay? No other business? The last,
Second.
action items, I guess most of it's in your court, Dave,
Yeah.
what we're gonna do.
Yep, I'll have Mike come in for the next meeting for the treatment. We'll have a contract proposal on the ramps, and I think that covered it.
Okay?
Yeah.
We have to go briefly into executive session for personnel issues. I'd entertain a motion to go into personnel.
so we'll go,
Second.
We have a motion by Ken, seconded by Tony to go into executive session. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We'll go into executive session into the other room.